Okay, there we go. So, like I said, scaling with prop firms, right? Basically getting from 0 to either max accounts with something like Apex specifically, right? This is who it works best with because they have the least amount of rules in the evaluation to a point where you can pass in 1 day, pass in 1 hour, pass in one trade, right? Or even in 3 seconds with something like, for example, CPI. Okay. Can it be applied to other prop firms? Sure, you just have to go about it slightly differently. Okay. Now, when it comes to CPI group passing, right? The way you set this up is you need to find a comfortable number of accounts that you are willing to purchase each month that you can then split into groups, right? So let's say, for example, 10 accounts, right, is the most you can do or you're willing to do each month. Maybe next month it gets a little bit higher, but let's say 10 accounts is the most you can do, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Let's say 5 accounts is the most you can do, okay? The way that I do this is I'll take this number right here and I will split it up into groups, whether it's, groups of 2, so it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, right? That makes 10. Or maybe let's say, the groups of 3, so 3, 3, and then a group of 4, whatever the case may be, right? You're splitting these up into groups, okay? So with these groups, what you're then doing is you're doing 2 things. It's basically 2 steps, okay? First off, you have to time purchasing these algorithms starting right after or right before CPI news data release, right? So let's say it's December 1st, right, that you're purchasing these, okay? And let's say CPI is the 13th, just for the example, right? You want to purchase all of the accounts that you're going to be using for that month before that day, right? I would prefer to technically purchase them right after CPI, right? So then I could reset them if, let's say, CPI goes wrong or whatever the case, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But the idea is to purchase them all right before or right after CPI, okay? So that the resets and the times that they're resetting is around the time of the CPI, preferably before, so then you can use it for that next coming CPI, right? So let's say, again, your account number is 10. So this is how I set it up, right? If I had 10, this is how I would do it. I have 2 accounts of the 10 that I purchased, right? Or let's say I didn't purchase all 10, I only purchased 2, right? Those 2 accounts, I'm either trading manually or automated at a higher size, so higher contract sizing to be more aggressive, right? With these or with those same accounts, right, I am trading them until I'm either passing them or I'm getting within about $200 to $300 of failing them, okay? And this is the reason for it. Obviously, if we pass, being a little bit more aggressive, that's good. We automatically have some new PA accounts, okay? But if, let's say, it's a bad day or bad couple days and I'm down, let's say we'll use a 50K account for an example, right? The drawdown is $2,500. Let's say I'm down $2,200, right? Once I get this point, I stop. I stop trading that account or group of accounts, right? And I set them off to the side, okay? And what I mean by set them off to the side is you just stop trading them. You will save them for CPI day, okay? Then once this gets decided, whether I'm down and about to lose them or I pass them, then after that, I get purchase 2 more. And I do the same exact thing, manual or automated. I'm either passing, right, in a couple days, or I am negative and I'm about to lose the account, right? Obviously, if you pass the first group, then you have 2 PAs. You have 2 PAs, and you put those on an automated strategy with probably the most minimized risk you can, and you forget about it, right? If in the first set you were about to fail it, you hold it off, you save it for the side. You don't keep trading until you fail. You keep trading until you're about to fail. So then the next group of trades, you rinse and repeat that, right? So then the overall outcome of that would be, okay, let's say now I have 2 PAs that passed in the first set. The second set I didn't pass, they're about to fail, so I save them for CPI. Then I got 2 more and I passed those, right? And then the last, let's say 2, 4, 6, then the last set I got 4 at a time, and let's say I'm about to fail those. I set those aside for CPI, right? CPI day comes, okay, and then you use this 1-day CPI strategy that I taught you guys for these 6 accounts, okay? And why do we do this? And not at the beginning, right? These 6 accounts are already down however much money, right? They're about to be failed. So to me, there is no point in spending the time and the effort to bring these back from extinction if I can just put them on CPI and full port them and pass them in 30 seconds. Not even 30 seconds, 3 seconds, right? Absolute worst case scenario, CPI doesn't play out and you fully fail the accounts. Now all you do is you wait for the next month. It will automatically rebill. You have a free reset, so you don't have to pay the reset fee. You just pay the rebill fee after the end of the month. And now you have 6 new evals that now you do, and you rinse repeat, you start from scratch. But in that process, you got 4 PAs, which now are running automated with your algos at low risk, right? Building a buffer. So this takes care of the fact of getting into that PA section, getting those PA accounts, starting to build a buffer, and then also not having that feeling of, oh, like I need to trade whatever. You have 6 evals. So this 6 evals, you can break up into 2 groups of 3, 3 and 3. You do the same exact thing that we did in the first step, right? You go manual or automated. That typing is terrible. You go manual or automated. Let's say you pass these 3. Now you have 3 new PAs. Let's say you're about to fail these 3, right? What do? You save them for the next CPI. So at this point, now you're adding these 3 to the first 4. So now you have 7. I have 7 PAs total, right? You have 3 set off to the side for CPI. If you want to now at this point say, okay, you know what? I want to purchase 2 more. You purchase 2 more. Same exact thing. Either you pass them or they're about to fail. If they're about to fail, you add them, or no, well, you add them to the 3 that you're saving for CPI. So now you have 5. Or you pass them and make them PAs, and now you have 9. Okay. And again, this process takes, because obviously, you know, the more money you have when it comes to like, oh, I can technically afford 20 evaluations, you know, each month, you know, you can do groups of 5, right? That's what I did, right? I went here and I got 5 evals, I passed them. So those got PAs. And then I got 5 more evals, I passed those. So I got PAs. And I got 5 more evals, and then these were close to failing, so I saved them for CPI. And then I got 5 more evals, and I passed those for PAs. To the point where I had 15, and then the last 5 on CPI, I then passed them with CPI without needing to then reset them or whatever, right? Or spend the time to, you know, bring them back from the brink of death. And essentially that, in this one cycle, I got all 20 PAs within a month, right? Which I then traded for 3.5 months before I even took a single payout, right? and I'll explain the whole waiting, because what a lot of people do, or a lot of people think, is that, oh, I have a PA, right? And the rules for this prop firm is I can take a payout every 8 days. If I trade every 8 trading days, I can take a payout. What's my max payout? Oh, 2K. Awesome. Okay. Right? So a lot of people will then automatically think, I need to get a payout of 2K every 8 days, or else I'm not a good trader. And that is not at all the case, right? I myself, because in order to get 2K in 8 trading days, right, you either have to trade a lot or you have to risk a little bit more, right? You have to trade similarly to how we were trading to try and pass the evals. But the difference is that these are PAs and you don't need to, right? So for me, right, you have the you have 2 options. You can do this and be part of the 95% that never gets the first payout after getting an evaluation pass and getting a PA, or you can say, hey, fuck all this noise. I don't need to be forced, or feel the need to be forced to take a payout every 8 days, or 2K payouts all the time. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 1 to 2 micros, MNQ, on my automation, and I'm going to go for $500 to $1,000 each month, right? Now you're building your buffer, right? You go, let's say in the first month you make 1,000, the second month you make 1,100, so now you're up 2,100. The third month, you make another 1,000, maybe 1,500, right? Now you're up like 35, almost $4,000. Now from here, you have double the wiggle room for drawdown, right? Because the trailing stops at the initial balance. You have double the wiggle room for drawdown, to where you can say, okay, I can now go 2 to 3 micros or 3 to 4 micros, to where now you're seeing, okay, now I'm in the 5, 6, 7, 8Ks in 3.5, 4 months of trading, right? What's 8? Because after the 90 days or 3 months, there's no longer any cap on the payout, so this 2K isn't there, right? So let's say, in 3.5, 4 months, what's 8K times 20? Only takes you about 4 to 5 months, maybe 6 months. Because obviously if we're including like starting from evaluation and then scaling, it takes you 6 months to do this at a low risk. I'm not saying it's going to always take 6 months or it's going to be that easy, right? Obviously, if you are able to get the evals passed the first time around, in that first month, maybe even 2 months, then, it's going to take a little bit longer. But, right, the end goal is this. Even if you only do this once a year, right? This is double, triple, quadruple what most people make in a year. This you can scale on. And when you're talking about automated, you don't even have to quit your job. So you're making your job, and then you're getting this on top of that, right? But this only happens with proper scaling, sizing. A lot of people that get PAs are like, oh, I'm going to trade a 4 MNQ on it because I want to get a payout every single month or every single 2 weeks. Is it possible? Yeah. But why be overly risk? Like if you had a $2,500 cash account, right? And you're trading automated and you're sizing, are you going to use 3 to 4, 5 micro contracts on a $2,500 cash account? Most would not. Why? Because 4 or 5 losses and this turns into $1,000, maybe even $500, right? But people, when they're on prop firms, they're trading and sizing as if they have this. And that's not the case. You have this. So when you're in a PA account, right, you're in my thought process, I'm trading with this amount of cash. I'm trying to scale this up. If it takes me a month to go from this to this, so be it. I'll be happy. Because percentage-wise, what is that? It's like 20%. If we're talking about how much money we actually have in space allotted to us, right? If it takes me another month to then go from that to this, so be it. 2 months, I'm up $2,000. Now, I can say, okay, maybe I go a little bit higher in size. Now the third month, I'm up to, let's say this. And then let's say the fourth month, I'm here. Right? But you're slowly scaling, and as you're scaling, you're then also sizing up to a point where it's like, okay, I have more room, so I can size up more and still be under leveraged. But then I could also take advantage of the winning trades being larger and making me more money. But people want to get from here to here in the first month or the first week, and that's not how that works. Can you? Yeah, sure. But again, most people that even get to the PA accounts lose them before they get to the first payout because they're oversized for whatever size account it is that they're using, you know? So this, getting the, let's say, groups of 5, and you could split this up however, right? If it could be groups of 2, if you don't have as much money set aside, you could do 2 at a time, right? Remember, trade to pass or fail. 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 I passed these, I failed these, or I was close to failing these. Not fail, but close to failing, right? Close to failing these. I passed these, I was close to failing these. What's the overall outcome? 10 PAs, 10 accounts I could put on CPI. If these 10 accounts fail fully on CPI day, I have 2 options. What Dan mentioned. Usually second month is 50% off instead of 80%. You can cancel fully if that's the case, and then just get 5 new evals if they have another promotion or another better promotion, right? I mean, their promotions are frequent. So you should really, if it does go up 50%, you don't necessarily need to let it rebill. Just cancel it and then get new evals. And then do the same thing. You have 10 PAs already. Those are automating, so you shouldn't need to worry about those when it comes to, oh, I want to get a payout, Like, the payouts will come if you use proper sizing. Okay? But if you're not using proper sizing, you're just going to elongate the process. Because imagine going through all this work, getting to 20 PAs, right? Let's say it takes you 2 to 3 months to get to 20 PAs for whatever reason. Okay? And then you're like, okay, I got 20 PAs. Now I'm going to run, 5 MNQ. And then you fail them in the first week. Does that sound familiar? Has that happened to anybody here? It's happened to me when I first started trading. But imagine putting in all that work and getting to a spot where you have the opportunity to make 5 figures a month, 6 figures a year, for doing almost nothing because you guys have access to automation for the most part. Imagine getting there and then fucking it up because you're not patient enough, because you can't wait a couple more months, right? It would really suck. It does suck, right? It's happened. It's happened to me. Happened to me years ago. I had 20. The first time I ever tried to go for 20 accounts and try to pass with CPI data, I had 20, and then these 20 accounts I failed 2 days later, right? So there's no point of going, oh, I'm going to go 5 MNQ so I can average $3,000 a month. You can average $3,000 a month when you have a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 buffer, right? But you need to build up to that. Ray says I can relate, right? But all this makes sense, right? Like what I'm talking about here. Like all this makes sense where you're in stacks. Again, you can do this with automation too. for the evaluations, just make the evaluation, you know, more, just make the evaluation just size up more for the automation, right? But then obviously you have to pay a little bit more attention to it to make sure you don't fully breach the account, because you still want a chance to be able to put it on CPI data if you have to, right? So you can do this with manual or automate it. When I'm trading manually and I'm trying to pass evaluations, like even with high risk, I could pass I've been passing like 75% of the time. So the other 25%, right, I'm putting on CPI data. And then usually the second time around I pass them if I happen to fail the CPI data. So for me, it can take like maybe a month and a half, 2 months to get from absolutely 0 to 20. Right? For some, obviously it's because I'm doing groups of 5, but for some, if you're doing groups of 2 or even 1 at a time, it's going to take a little bit longer, and that's fine, right? But the end goal is 20 PAs that you can then run untouched for 2 to 3 months. Let's say you're up $3,000 or $4,000. Let's say you're up 4K in profit, right? If you want to take 250 just to pay yourself a little bit, you want to take 250 from each, that's 5K, right? Now you're at 3,750 profit. The next month, you wait a little bit more. Let's say you're up 4,500 or even 5,000, right? You're like, okay, you know what? I want to take out 500 this month. 500, right? That brings you back down to 450. The previous month you took out 5K. This month you're taking out 500 from each, which comes out to what? 10K. So you're already in the 5 figures a month, which a lot of people, you know, kind of want to get to. Like, that's obviously the goal, right? But you're doing that while also building a buffer. So it's like, okay, now the 5th month, I'm you know, because I'm up 4,500, I could start scaling up more. Now let's say I'm up, you know, 6,500 or even, you know what, 7,000. Now you're like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take a 2K payout. And now that's where you can get a month, right? This then reverts after the payout to 5K. And then if you want to rinse and repeat that, you can. If you want to trade normally, and let's say you get back up to 7K, and that you know what, this time I'm going to go and I'm just going to take everything out. What's 7K times 12? 84K. Plus 40, plus 10, plus 5. In what, a 6-month period? Right? I don't know how it works on the back end, but I've yet to be switched to one. But at the same time, I also try to take out like full max payout, like in that 3 to 4 month period. And then I just start all over. I think most people I've seen, it's been like the 6-month mark. So you can like time it. Oh, excuse me. But I don't know how like they decide. Like it's a decision that they do internally. I just don't know how that works or what that is. All I'm saying is that anybody that I have seen get switched to live it's been like a good amount of time that they've been on a PA account. And I think the reason why I haven't been put on is just because like I said, whenever I do, I kind of cap it to a certain amount of time to where I just take everything out, and I just try and do that like twice a year. Yeah. So when I say start all over, I mean, let's say I have the 20 accounts, right? And then, you know, I have, let's say, you know, $4,000 left in all of them after like 3 months, right? I'll take out the max payout or the entire profit, or all the profit, and then I'll get the payout. This should hold anybody over for a year, right? Most people, especially if you're not full time and you're excuse me, and you're working a job, which if you are, I would obviously still work it even if you do get this payout, right? Because you could always, again, then you reinvest. Now you have enough money to go 20 at a time, so now you can reinvest into 20 evals. Obviously not at the same time, but that'll cost you maybe $600. You save for the PA fees, which will be about $2K for all 20, because it's about $100 each, right? And then off that 80, you're bringing home 75, let's say, more than 75, like 77, right? You do this twice a year, and you're at 150. And it really, if it goes good, it takes maybe 3 to 4 months. And sometimes it could be more than 4K, right? Maybe in the 3 or 4 months, maybe you're up 6, 7, 8K. Then that becomes double the size, So, like I said, it's all up to, it takes a little bit of practice, but that's like the steps, right? Step 1, right? You have your eval. Step 2, you are passing, or not failing, but close to failing. Step 3 is CPI. Step 4 is PA. Step 5 is buffer, so you're building your buffer, right? And step 6 is full payout. Full payout. And then repeat, right? How you do the eval, you can do manually or with automation. CPI, obviously, we have the video for that. PA, obviously, you're just low risk. You're just waiting, you're building a buffer, right? While you're building a buffer, if you want to take $250 out from the account at a time, that's still good money, even $200, right? And then 3, 4, 5 months in, 6 months in, you get, let's say, we're around here, let's say whatever dollar amount you're at, you just take everything out, you get your large payout, and then you just repeat the process. If you can repeat this twice a year, right, that's a good place to start. But that's pretty much like the process. Like, that's how I've done it, and I've been doing it successfully, like multiple times. And again, you can apply this to multiple prop firms. The biggest difference between other prop firms and like Apex specifically is, 1, Apex, their evaluations are much cheaper, so you can be more aggressive with them. 2, Apex offers way more accounts than any other prop firm out there, right? So those 2 steps alone is the reason why Apex is my number 1, right? Because it gives you the opportunity to scale, like what I just showed you guys. Most prop firms don't give you the opportunity to scale in that manner, or scale that quickly, or to that size, right? So people say, "Oh, I don't like Apex. The rules." If you have an issue with the trailing drawdown rule, then you're over risking, you're over leveraged, you're oversized, and you don't know or have a risk management plan, and that's a you problem. It's not a prop firm problem. But there's absolutely no reason why everybody shouldn't be using Apex, because they've proven 7-figure payouts to single individuals before. Not a lot of prop firms can say that, right? So again, they're very niche. You have to actually be a trader in order to properly utilize them, especially in the long term. I don't recommend them for new traders, but if you have experience, right, the only thing you really need to control is your sizing. Aside from that, the rules they're simple. Don't go for home runs. Don't have too big of a unrealistic stop loss, and that's it. And if you know what, the first payout you go to request, they reject it, that's fine. The the next payout opportunity, just only request from the profits that you made since then, and then it'll automatically reset, and then you can request the full payout amount if you so choose. You know, so again, it's for me, the process is simple. Again, it takes a little bit of practice, and that's fine. But again, ultimately, the goal is to get from here, right? This is you guys, right? That's you guys, and you guys need to be up here. 20p accounts, 5 figures, 6 figures a year, or 6 figures a year, right? But you need to build your way up there. You can't just jump to there, right? And everything that we talk about, as well as that we're going to talk about in the boot camp and all that, everything that we talk about ties into getting you there, right? You have to create motivation poster. You have to think long term. If you're thinking too much about, oh, I want to get a payout as quickly as possible or in 8 days, I promise you it's going to be harder, right? Because sizing and risk management alone make or break a trader. Yeah, right. It's like pre-boot camp, and then you have like a little mountain right here, and then it's like post-boot camp, and that's just like sign up for the boot camp, and that's just the thing right there. But like, you know, in all seriousness, right? Like that's why I always preach specifically sizing, because prop firms don't. Sadly, prop firms don't. They oh my god, what's it called? They reward spurts of profitability rather than actually building up and having a trader slowly scale the way they would with a small cash account, right? Like my cash account, one of my smaller ones started at this, and 3 months later it's at like this, right? This number is not a big number, but when we're talking about how much leverage I had to begin with, and then we go into the percentages, this is over 100%, right? It's almost like 200% actually, right? But in the grand scheme of things, dollar-wise, it's not a lot. But tell you what, in another 3 months, this can be this maybe, right? And then another 3 months, that can be this. And in another 3 months, we can get to this. And then this. And then this. And then this. Right? But you need to build up to it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to go from this to this. From this to this, right? Nothing that's regulated will give you that type of leverage. And if you're really trading with that big of size, where you're going like each trade this to this to this to this to that, like you're over leveraged and you're basically gambling. I don't care what anybody says, because the point is that this is supposed to be money that you don't care about losing. If it is money you care about losing, then this is where you're building up to like every couple months, right? Obviously, even this might be a little bit big, you know, more so maybe 4 to 7 to like 7, then 7 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15, 16, whatever, right? Because obviously as you're gaining more, yeah, you want more profit, but you also don't want to lose all the profits that you recently made, right? But that's about as clearly as I can kind of picture it for you guys. Is there any questions you guys have over what I just said? None for you? No? Awesome. Yeah, I went over everything, like I said. And again, you can apply it to other prop firms, but Apex is just the easiest one to apply it to. And when it comes to the eval stage, like, I think the cheaper the eval, the better. even if you do have to pay the an activation fee, at least it's for a funded account. You know, you didn't spend the money up front and waste it when you failed. You know, so but yeah, I mean, if you guys don't have any other questions, oh Dan, okay, go. That must be a long question. Most other prop firms I have seem to only offer 3 to 5 accounts. Does anybody out there get 10 accounts or more? Yeah, Apex. Apex allows 20. I think they're the only ones. Maybe Elite Trader Funding is one of them. Oh, besides Apex, maybe Elite Trader Funding I think is the only one. And I've never used them before, so. Blue Nox allows 11. Oh, there's one. I've never used Blue Nox either, though. But yeah. Oh my god. Ah. I made my coffee. I never haven't drank any of it. But yeah, if you guys have more questions, just ask. Other than that, we'll probably end it here. One day passes well, but if you pass all of an account, they only allow you to activate 3 until you show good consistency. Oh, that kind of sucks. I mean, it makes sense, but still, like if you're gonna offer 11, there's no point. If you're gonna offer 11, like it doesn't make sense to me that you're like it's not a. I don't know. I don't like that. I mean, like I said, there was an option, but again, personally, like I always tell people, Apex is a way to go, and I mean, I can say that because they're like the main ones that I use to begin with, anyways, right? So at the end of the day, it's a personal preference, but I just think that Apex in general is just going to be easiest for those of you. But yeah, yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask it in the bootcamp chat. The recording from yesterday should be posted sometime today, as well as both recordings for today as well. I'm just waiting on Conjure to set them up and send them for you guys. All right, but I'll give them a heads up that everything's done and ready, and we'll just go from there. All right, guys. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here today on a Saturday. And I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. And we'll just get going and get into the new week. All right, guys? All right, everybody. Take care. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.